Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast with Scott McKenzie. Scott is a passionate industry professional dedicated to transferring cutting-edge, industry-focused innovations and trends while highlighting the men and women who keep the world moving. So put on your hard hat, grab your work boots, and let's go.
All right, let's go. Welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast. Absolute, as you know, an honor that you've joined this platform that celebrates industry heroes each and every day. And you're saying to yourself, Scott, why do we celebrate? Because industry, manufacturing, the people that are in those professions are bold, brave, dare greatly, innovate like nobody's business, and you're changing lives and at the same time changing the world. So that's why we celebrate you. All right, the hot seat today. His name is Scott. He's a good-looking guy, by the way, because his name is Scott. Heidi last name, CEO, Engineering Intent. Cool. It's cool. It is. It's cool. Let's get cracking. Yeah. Outside of the fact that I can remember his name. He's damn good looking. But anyway, what's interesting about this conversation, and I think it's an interesting avenue. Engineering Intent is let's say a software, a technology company, right? And they provide a platform that allows people in the field to be able to create sort of pretty accurate engineering quotes on solutions for firms that are in the engineering space, right? So, for example, I go out, I visit a customer, the customer has something in mind, it looks like XYZ, it's got this and that. Right then and there, because of their platform, because of their software, because of their technology, I'm able to come up with a pretty doggone decent swag at what the cost of that particular solution will be. And for me, right, Scott McKenzie, being impatient as I'm always impatient, unfortunately, I like it. I like it. It's like real-time insights into, it's like, hey, I got this idea, and then I want to be able to come up with some sort of an estimate of what it might look like. Engineering Intent, the team of Scott Heide. I mean, come on, it's pretty doggone cool. You got to sit there and say, that's pretty damn cool. Now, I'm not going to do it justice because Scott and his team at Engineering Intent live, eat, breathe this solution. But all I know, boy, it satisfies my curiosity of being able to get something on paper that looks like what I'm thinking about and have a dialogue right then and there. You don't even have to go back to whatever your office is. You can do it right then and there. Come on. That's what the future holds. That's what this is all about. That's a industry hero, his team. They're industry heroes. What can you say? All right. Remember, I want you to do a couple of things, and just note this before we get into the interview, is one, you got to constantly educate, right? Just keep educating. Now is the time. This is speeding by us. So educate, collaborate, reach out to me. Doggone it, reach out to me, and let's collaborate. Let's figure out the way to get your story out there. And as well as all the other people who you want to collaborate and, of course, innovate. You got to keep innovating. Just like Engineering Intent, man. They don't stop. It's not as if like, hey, all right, we got our platform, blah, 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 and they stop. Nope. They keep hammering on that technology so that it brings the value that you so deserve because you're an industry hero. Boo-boo-boo. All right, let's get cracking on the interview. Now, his stat card is pretty doggone chock full of great stuff, right? Scott Heide, that's Heide. Engineering Intent is the company. And as I scroll down, I look at his stat card. Oh, my gosh, he is smarter than me. Absolutely spot on. All right, instead of me yammering on and on and on and on, let's get going with the interview. Enjoy Scott and his insights into what they're doing at engineering intent. All right, Scott, welcome to the Industrial Talk Podcast. We've been having, listeners, you're going to like this conversation just because we've been having a great conversation offline. In fact, we should have been recording it, Scott, because you were just dropping value bombs all day long, and I'm just sitting there going, I should have recorded that. All right, before we get
pulling back up again.
Well, yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So before we get really cracking and relive all our conversations, because that's what we can do, give us a little 411 on who Scott is, so the listeners understand why you're such an incredible professional.
My name's Scott Heide. I'm CEO of Engineering Intent. I've been in the business of what we call engineering automation or design automation, sales configuration for the past 30 years. And I've had a lot of experience with several different companies and with several different large-scale partners over the years. Today, our company is a software company that makes a product called Knowledge Bridge, and we'll talk about that.
See, and this is interesting. If you've been in the business, and I mean, you were cutting edge at engineering automation. Yeah. I'm going to just sort of share with you, every time that I had to go approach my engineering department, you know what was the biggest problem? I would procrastinate, and then I would probably go over and grab a cup of coffee, and then I would see, hey, there's some donuts. I would procrastinate to the end until I couldn't procrastinate anymore, and I'd have to have that conversation with engineering. And so the simple fact that you were already thinking about engineering automation, you're a trailblazer.
Yeah, it was pioneered in the late 80s, actually. There was a company called iCAD that kind of came up with the original concept of this kind of object-oriented approach to design automation. And we've been developing it and growing with it over the years. The key for us over the last few years is the proliferation of the internet, of geometry that can be fast and interactive, of some of the new technologies coupled together with that underlying ability to automate what people think, automate the engineering process, has really put us in a good position to help a lot of companies.
Yeah, and you're a cloud-based business.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
And that has its tremendous value. But so what was the problem? Sort of lay out that problem of what you're trying, this knowledge bridge or K-bridge solution. What problem are you addressing?
So a lot of companies that do customized products have to configure their products, but they have to configure them using engineering rules as part of what drives that configuration. They have to use geometry and geometric relationships, and they have to, if they're going to make a possible for their salespeople and for their customers to be able to do the configuration, you need to be able to interact with it. And so the technology for doing the automation's been around for a long time, but it hasn't succeeded and rolled out the way it could to help these companies because of this lack of these extra features that enable it to make it more effective. And what we're doing, these companies that we work with struggle because they're trying to make a custom product for their customer, but because it's custom, it takes time, it takes expertise, they make mistakes, there's handoffs, there's throughput time, and so on. And so we're trying to help them streamline that process, to automate it, to capture the knowledge that's needed to do those steps in an automated way. And that's what we do. And so if we can make it so instead of taking 2 weeks to do a quote, you can take 2 hours to do a quote, better yet, do it in front of a customer, with the customer, better yet, even have the customer do it themselves, then the communications just becomes much more efficient, and you're able to make a sale that you wouldn't be able to make. You're able to do it with less resources. You're able to make fewer mistakes while you're doing it. You're able to understand your margins while you're doing it because we're rolling up the costs and we're doing calculations. All of those things become more effective for our customers.
I think it's brilliant. And yeah, you're absolutely right. It's been around for a little while. People have been talking about it. This is like the golden goose, if you could do it. For me, being and some people say that I'm impatient. Some people, not everybody, but some people say that I'm impatient. This is like right in line with what I like. So if somebody came to me and I had a dream, I had a thing in my head, and I said, I'm thinking about this, and I want to talk to you about it. If you could take care of it right then and there, and we could communicate and then ferret out all the challenges, holy cow, you have a customer for life. It's like, and then when they leave, I could just say, yeah, we got it going on. I just think it's such a tremendous value proposition. I mean, I might be, but I'm real impatient, but I think a lot of people are.
Yes, and absolutely. Being able to interact with the customer and show them what they're going to buy, not just configure it and show them the price, but show them a picture of it, or a 3D model, or a rendering, or a drawing, and so on, and have them be comfortable with it, and an immediate response is just the value from a sales point of view is huge. And keep in mind, this all started because the problem we were originally trying to solve was just, I've got a bunch of engineers that are spending so much time on every individual design. It takes hours, it's the throughput time and so on, and it's expensive. We're trying to automate those engineers, but what we realized is if we enable the UI in such a way that they can use it in a pre-sales mode, just like you said, you get a customer for life when you can show them what they want and confirm for them that we're going to be able to make what you need and do it quickly. It's just super high value.
High value is an understatement, because you're sitting there having real conversations with your customer about a problem they're trying to solve, and you're going back and forth for a level of clarity that doesn't exist. Like, hey, we make this thing, but I'll be back in 2 weeks, and then I'll come with a drawing, and then of course it all breaks down. Hell in a handbasket. No, I didn't want that handle. I wanted this handle, and whatever. And I just think that's just damn cool.
Yes. And on top of that, engineers don't like to be involved in that pre-sales process. The company's not getting paid for that engineering time.
Yeah.
They'd rather be thinking about what the next new product's going to be, rather than just turning the crank on yet another quote for the same product over and over again. It really frees them up to focus on new product development, and it frees the sales guy up to make that sale with the customer and give them what they want, and be assured that it's been engineered properly and it's a valid solution.
Dead doggone sexy. I love what you're saying. Now, the question I have, so if I have, hey, I want to build a disqualificator. No such thing. So listeners out there, don't go Google disqualificator, because it doesn't exist. It's my word. I want it on a bumper sticker. Anyway, well, let's say I want to build a disqualificator, and it has, materials, the cost of materials, and just materials, right?
Yep.
Does your product go out and say, yeah, aluminum is, do we procure it at this point, or whatever? You get the price right then and there?
Yeah, so our applications connect directly to the cost center for the company. Then it's usually the ERP system, where they have the materials, they have the purchase components, so we can have access to availability and cost, and then we can actually make choices for the customer based on trade-offs. Some of the customers we sell to, for example, in power distribution, use a lot of copper. The cost of copper can change tremendously from 1 week to the next, and you may choose a different design based on the evolution of that change in the price of copper. And so that sort of dynamic decision making can be really effective.
Yeah, especially, I've been down that road, and it's like that material. Today was $5, tomorrow's $7.
Yeah.
The next day's $10, and then of course somebody comes back, and it's like, how do you nail down these? How do you nail it down? That to me is just a big deal. But I would imagine, I mean, are you? Let's just lay it and put it out on the old table. If 100%, let's say it's $100, right? Here it is. It's $100. How close am I with your product, with your solution? Am I to the $100? I mean, like, do I nail it?
Well, you nail it a lot better than you would without the product. In other words, we roll up well, first of all, we ask the customer how they do pricing, and sometimes pricing is done based on cost. Other times it's not, frankly. It's based on other parameters. And we can incorporate either pricing model into how we put together the cost and the price for them. Typically, for the kind of customers we work with, we're rolling up a cost, and that cost can be materials, but it can also be manufacturing steps. There can be an engineering factor. There can be delivery factors, and we can roll those into an overall cost. And then the margins, often there are rules about the margins as well. You know, if this distributor gets X margin, or this customer buys a whole bunch from us so they get a discount, there's rules in there about the margins too. Those are all rules. And so our rules-based system allows you to capture that and
tighten it up, hone it. And I would imagine you get a little bit better as you continue to go forward. It's like, I'm tightening it up. I see where the
really good companies keep track of what they quoted and what it ended up being, and do the connection between to make those adjustments, fine tune that to get it exactly right. See, not every company does that, but there certainly are companies out there that do, and they can be very successful with it.
Come on. Now, you had me at let me make sure. You had me at the term engineering automation. You had me at that. What are the pushbacks? Why do people, I mean, it's not all, bubble gum and pink elephants out there. What would be the pushback? This makes complete sense.
Well, that's a good question, and there's a couple of different categories, but the first one is often, well, we don't think you can do that. How are you going to capture our rules? Your rules are so special that we can't possibly imagine capturing them. And in some cases, there's some truth to that. But what we do, and what's special about our product, is you capture the rules that you have. You provide a user interface that allows them to interact with it and put their human factor into it where that's needed. And the combination is what's really the best solution. So that's one of the pushbacks. The other pushback is, we've got some programmers over in the back room. We'll just have them program a solution. And the problem with that is it ends up being, the programmers, first of all, don't understand the product. Secondly, it ends up being this huge .NET program that nobody understands or can maintain or extend over time. And so on. So one of our biggest competitors is the roll your own. We'll try to do it ourselves.
Right.
Like I've said before, a lot of those companies end up being our best customers. They come back 3 years later and go, I see why we didn't want to get in this mess. We're not a software company. We're a manufacturing company, and we've got this whole group over here trying to write software and maintain software. Help us out here. And some of those end up being our best.
Yeah, and why wouldn't I want to leverage your organization, who have you've done it over a number of years. You've refined your thinking. You have insights that the IT department doesn't have at Acme Corporation. You just bring a greater level of experience that, for me,
we've been through it many times before, and we've seen what the challenges are, and both technical challenges and organizational challenges and business challenges, and we can help coach companies through to success. And that's kind of on top of our product, which is a great platform for doing this sort of thing. But the product itself isn't the only thing. It takes more than that to be successful, and we can help with the rest of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's a time. What would always upset me, because apparently I'm impatient sometimes, is when somebody says it can't be done.
Yeah.
I just I bristle with that, because
we take a challenge at that and prove them wrong. Most of the time, prove them wrong. Yes.
Yeah, and I've been watching, right, Elon Musk and SpaceX, and looking at they never say it can't be done. No. It's like they'll have this, wild idea, and then they'll try to figure out how to get it, and they do it, and it's like, God, that is just refreshing.
Yes. Yeah. No, we think that way, and we like to be challenged by our customers, and most of the time we're able to meet those challenges, and it ends up being a win for them and a win for us, and that's what gets us up in the morning, frankly.
Yeah, don't get away from that legacy thinking and meaning we know how to do it and all that good stuff.
Yep.
Where do you see it going? I mean, what are the trends? This is great stuff. This is a great conversation. It's a great solution. It's great service. It's blah, blah, blah. But where do you see it going?
So I think that we will be extending this capability to many, many, many more companies. I mean, we're just at the tip of the iceberg right now in terms of the products, the industries, the companies that do a customized product that need this kind of technology. So I see that growing for years and years. Another exciting angle on it for me is that we're part of what we're doing when we do these applications is we're capturing reusable sets of engineering rules. And we've set up our technology from day one to manage modular reusable sets of engineering rules. If you think about it, engineering is a collaborative process. You never design anything. If I look at this console in front of me, there were probably 100 engineers that touched different parts of it that were experts in each area.
Yeah.
You can capture those modules and mix and match them together. It's the impact, long-term impact on the engineering world is going to be significant. And we've built the infrastructure for that. We've built a store for exchanging these kinds of things. And to me, in the longer term, that's even more exciting than the ability to help an engineer-to-order company sell their product faster. Both are exciting, obviously, but changing the way engineering's done is really the end game here.
I think that's very cool. You brought up a good point, and I can sit there with my business cap on and say, "Hey, this is great. I understand what you mean," but there's a positive bottom line impact to streamlining this effort. Can you explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there's what we call value buckets. There's many of them for an application like this. First of all, you're able to sell more easily. So you're making that sales experience, exposing it directly to your sales guys, to your customers, and as we discussed, not having to spend weeks to put together a quote. You can do it in minutes in front of your customer. But along with that, you're also reducing the amount of time it takes. From a throughput time, you're reducing the amount of hours it takes, so that the cost is going down. And then you're also reducing anytime you automate something like this, you're reducing the opportunity for mistakes. We've had customers who follow the whole Kaizen thing and have kept track of their cost of quality. We've had customers justify, very large investments, $1 million investments, entirely on the cost of quality for one of these. Never mind all the other things we've talked about for the last 15 minutes, entirely on the cost of quality. And so that's another, area where value comes into play. And so there's just the key is doing the automation. Once you have it, there's value all over the place. It can be very strategic for any company that embraces it.
Yeah. That's just cool stuff. I mean,
Thank
really.
you. We think it is too, but not everybody we talk to thinks so.
Well, apparently you're not selling right. You're not communicating right.
Probably.
Because apparently they should be listening to you.
Yeah, they should.
They should. Oh my God. How can people get a hold of you?
We're at engineeringintent.com. The website is the best place. There's links to our email addresses and phone numbers and such there. But just spelled out, no dots or anything, engineeringintent.com.
Yeah.
And that'd be, we'd be happy to hear from anybody. There's actually live demos on the website. You can run one of our applications. You can learn about a lot of the different industries we support. There's a lot of information on our website. That's really the best place to start.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. You got a couple of things here, too. Free demo on websites, right?
Yes.
You just mentioned
Yep.
that. That's good. And you made this a pretty clear. If you're a qualified prospect, free discovery session. First off, be qualified. 2, take advantage of that. That is absolutely. And everything will be out at industrialtalk.com. You know that. All the contact information for Scott, Engineering Intent, and anything else that we can possibly jam on his landing page, we will.
Yep.
Scott, you're absolutely wonderful. I love this conversation.
Hey, thanks, Scott. I really appreciate it. Thanks for
sexy.
doing it. I enjoyed it. It was
It
fun.
was a good time, man. Yeah, I love what you guys are doing. Now, all of a
Thank you.
sudden, if I had an engineering company, I would be looking forward to connecting with you.
We'd be knocking on your door.
Yeah, but I'm not, and so I could just sing your praises, and every time I come in contact with somebody that's engineering, boom, I'm gonna say you need to get a hold of this guy. How's that?
All right. Thank
All right,
you.
listeners, hang tight. We're gonna be right back. As you know, we're gonna sum it up on the other side. So stay tuned.
You're listening to the Industrial Talk Podcast Network.
Scott Heide. Yep. Put that in your notebook. Engineering Intent is the company. They're delivering value. They're delivering solutions. I'm telling you, they're satisfying my inclination of being impatient big time, coming up with solutions that truly help you move that ball forward, using that sports analogy. So go out to his LinkedIn stat card, Scott Heide, Heide, Engineering Intent. Reach out to him. I guarantee you, you will not be disappointed one iota. I don't even know how to spell iota. All right. I'm going to continue to hammer on this stuff. I want you to hang out with people who are bold, brave, and dare greatly. You be bold, brave, and dare greatly, and you're going to change the world. Hang out with Scott Heide. You can hang out with me, too. Go to industrialtalk.com. Everything's going to be out there. All the contact information. Have a wonderful week. We're going to come back with another great interview shortly.